Lesson 8.2 deals with the slope of a line, and we've dealt with slope before, so this shouldn't be anything that new to you. In skiing, slope refers to a slanted mountainside. So a skier, or the steeper a slope is, the higher its difficulty rating will be. And in math, the slope defines the slant of a line. The larger the absolute value of the slope, the steeper or more vertical the line is going to be. And we call the constant rate of change of a line the slope. So here you can go ahead and fill this in. The rise is the difference of the y values. The run is the difference in the x values, and these are between 2 points on a line. And then we call the slope the ratio, so it's going to be a fraction, of the rise to the run for any 2 points on a line. So you also can fill this in. We know the slope is rise over run, which is the change in the y, which we call delta y, over the change in the x, which is delta x. So the change in y over change in x, which is what we studied the other day. It's called the rate of change. So rate of change and slope are synonymous. They mean the same thing. And remember that y is the dependent variable and x is the independent variable, because we get to choose the value of x, and the value of y depends on what we chose. So when you're graphing these, or if you have a graph to look at, you're simply going to pick 2 points. They've given us 2 points here, and we're going to do the rise. So my rise is 2, and my run is 6. So my slope is rise over run, 2 over 6, which happens to be 1 over 3. So my slope is 1/3. You do want to simplify it. Here, my rise is 1, 2, 3, 4. My run is 2, but this is a -2 because we're going to the left. So my slope is 4 up, 2 to the left. So when I simplify this, I simply get a slope of -2. When you go to use it to graph, eventually you're going to make it a -2 over 1. So now this one, we haven't given you any points, so you just pick 2 random points on the line. I like to pick points that have integer values. So now I'm going to rise 2 and run 1. So 2 over 1, or just 2 for the slope. And here I'll pick this point right here, and then I'll pick this point. So I'm rising 2, I'm running to the left, 1, 2, 3. So rise 2, run to the left 3, it's 2 over -3, or simply the fraction -2/3. So when you're given a graph to look at, you can just do your slope this way with rise over run. Now we know another way that we can do it is using 2 points on a line, and you can find the slope without graphing. The slope through the points x1, y1, x2, y2 is written as follows. The slope is y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So go ahead and uncover that. Here, this is super important that you understand this, and I think it can make it a little bit easier for you. It does not matter which point you choose for x1 and y1 and x2 and y2. So you don't have to choose one point or the other as long as you're consistent. So I'm going to go ahead and find my slope here, and I'm just going to go my x's this direction, so I have 5 minus 6. As long as I'm consistent and I take the y's in the same direction, then I'm good. 2 minus 3. So 5 minus 6 is -1. 2 minus 3 is also -1. And when I simplify this, I get a +1. Just to show you that it doesn't matter if I take it the opposite way and I did 6 minus 5 over 3 minus 2, that would give me 1 over 1, which still equals 1. So this shows you that this statement is true. I generally just go from left to right though. So my slope for my second one, 6 minus 2, those are my y's, and 2 minus 0. That gives me 4 over 2, which simplifies to a 2. And then the last one on here, I'll do 4 minus 6 over -2 minus 6. 4 subtract 6 is -2. -2 subtract 6 more is -8. This simplifies to a +1/4. 1/4 for the slope. So if we look at all of these, think about which one would be the steepest line. Which one of these would be the steepest line based on what I was talking about in the first slide. And then we'll discuss that when you come to class. Okay, you can tell, and you've got some parts of this to uncover. You can tell by looking at a line whether the slope is positive, negative, 0, or undefined. So if you look at it from left to right, fill this in, that's going to be a positive slope. It's going up, like you're going to walk up the hill. And from left to right, if it's going down, you're going down the hill, then it's a negative slope. If it goes straight across, this is a 0 slope because there's no rise in it. There's no rise. This one here is all rise and no run. So we say this is an undefined slope. We can't give it a number. Okay, problem 6. The table shows how much money Marvin earns while helping his mother with yard work one weekend. Use the data to make a graph and then find the slope of the line and explain what it shows. So here for 3 hours, he earned $15. For 5 hours, he earned $25. 7 was 35 and 9 is 45. I think you can probably already figure out how much money he earned per hour because that's what we're actually going to find. But let's go ahead and draw ourselves a graph. And here we have time for the independent variable, and that's in hours. And here we have, I'm just going to put a money sign, $ money earned. And I'm just going to go in steps of 1 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Try to make yours neat. And here, I can probably fit it in steps of 5. So 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. But here, since I'm not going in ones, I should at least put the scale on here. Alright, and now I'm just going to plot my points. So for 3 hours he earns $15, and for 5 hours he earns 25. For 7 he earns 35, and for 9 he earns 45. And hopefully you can see that this is definitely linear. So I'll graph this out. Whoa, I guess I used a white line. Let me change the color of the line. There you go. So when I graph it out, it looks like this. It says find what the slope is. Well, the slope is the rise over the run. So I can do the rise over the run in any of those, or I can simply pick any 2 points. I'll just pick these first 2. So my change in my y, remember that's the independent or dependent variable. I'm going to go 25 minus 15 for my y's, and then for the x's I'll go 5 minus 3. Well, that gives me a 10 divided by 2, which is 5. So that means he earns $5 per hour. $5 per hour. Okay, and that is it for the notes on lesson 8.2. Your assignment, if we don't have school, lesson 8.2, begins on pages 347 and goes to 349. And I'm going to give you 7 to 21, 23 to 28, 31, and 32. This is only going to be due Thursday, so you only have to work on this at home if we don't have school tomorrow.